Welcome back to the channel, Classic Volkswagen Lovers Junior with Classic VW Buck and Sonny the Super Beetle. I'm gonna move the camera closer to the car and inform you what I'm going to be doing with the car today. We are going to remove this tire. I have already removed two of the bolts. I have a jack in the bottom of the car along with my tower as a safety measure, but I always like to stick my tires under the car as an extra precaution. So next we're going to be removing the grease cap. So that's out. And then we have to remove the axle nut. I'm gonna have to remove that axle nut, but I'm going to remove some of the grease excess from it. And we're going to find a number 6 Allen wrench. Cleaning the inside of the socket in the hex screw just to make sure that it won't slip on me when I'm removing it. So that's loosened right now. And now we get a wrench and remove that nut. Notice that it was not really tight. Now this side tights and unscrew like a normal tread. The other side, which is the driver's side, it's a reverse tread on the axle nut. So we're gonna put this right here so we don't lose it, so we're gonna have to reuse that one there. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm not gonna reuse that bearing because I have brand new bearings, but I'm gonna set it aside just in case. The next thing I'm going to do is remove these 4 bolts, and I'm going to break loose the brake line from the back so that I can just pull the whole assembly out. It is number 11, so let's see if we can get it in. Yep, she was just being hard. So this is going to be righty-tatty, lefty-loosey, so lefty's going to be that way. So I'm going to pull up. Okay. So I was trying to get the brake line released from the cylinder, but it's really tight and somehow it does not want to come out. So I'm going to choose to remove the brake line steel line from the flex hose. I'm going to be using a 17-inch and a 11mm to see if I can release it. I think that was a better idea. Yep, that came loose. So let's get it out from here. So finally we're getting some good weather here in Columbus, and I'm taking advantage that it's not that cold today, and I'm getting these out. I'm hoping to have this car at least roadworthy before summer, even if I don't get to install the headliner, because I think that's one of the most complicated things that I have coming pretty soon. One, because I'm not an upholstery guy, right, or tech, and you never know, so I'll do my best. I don't know how long that has been there, so I don't know what kind of maintenance the previous owner did in this car. And I don't know that the person I bought this car from have any knowledge of the history of the car either. So now we're going to go ahead and give it a good clean with some brake cleaner, and then we should be able to install the caliper bracket. Okay, so with the spindle clean, now we can install the caliper bracket. We'll just put that right there. We'll get one started. And here I'm reusing the hardware from the car, from the backing plate. So I snuck the bolts, and now I'm going to torque them to 18 foot-pounds. Please make sure that for your car you check your torque spec. So this is what I am doing for my 1971, and I'm torquing this M8 bolt to 18 foot-pounds, but that's me, okay? So just make sure you check your torque spec for yours.
Ready to install our disc.
Caliper bracket install. I torqued the M8 bolts to 18 foot-pounds. Make sure you check your torque spec for your car. Now I'm going to go ahead and install my first disc here, and let's go and do this. Let's go in. Making sure that's going in, and all the way in. Now next I'm going to install my truss washer. then we take our truss washer and install it. It's my truss washer, it's in. And now we take our axle nut. Install that. So I give it a little bit of a squeeze there. Just loosen it a little bit. And that should be good. Next, we proceed to install the caliper. So next we are going to install the grease cap, and then we're going to grab our caliper and check for alignment to determine whether or not we will need shims to center the caliper against the rotor. So we're going to put this one here. Okay, that should be fine. So here is the caliper. We remove this little rubber spacer here. And then we take our caliper to check for alignment against the disc, and we'll take a look in the back to see if we need to shim it or not. So I'm gonna grab a bolt and get it started here in the back. I'm gonna hand tie it. And I am using a 17mm socket. Just knock the bolts. I don't hear any friction against the pads right now, so it looks like we're centered. But I'm going to grab the camera here and show you what I have. So notice that as I go on top, you can see the floor or the gap between that first brake pad and the front surface of the rotor. And if I keep going further back, you can see also that there is a gap, so I don't think that we have a need for any shims. And right now it seems like the rotor is not scratching against the pad, so that's a good sign. So now I will just go ahead and torque these, and the next step will be to install the brake line to connect it from here over to here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and bend that brake line and install it, and we should be done on this side here, and then we can move to the other side. Once you complete that step, basically it's the same steps for the driver's side, with the exception that in your driver's side you have a opening here to stick your speedo cable and put a small clip, but it's basically the same thing. From the assortment kit that I bought, I have a different numbers of lengths and the brake line. I knew this one wouldn't work, that's too small, so I'm using the longest one here, and I have to make some bends here. So I'm gonna go ahead now and put a mark here and try to loop around here and then up and connect right there. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So I managed to make this bend here, and then when I got to here I just had to play with it. You know, I make the bend with the tubing bender, and then around here the radius is so close that I had to somehow use my hands to fiddle a little bit with it until I got it to connect here. One of the things that I would suggest, make sure that when you are threading this in, you're threading them by hand. If they're going in easy by hand, then you should be right. You should be fine with your brake line. Okay, now I'm going to use a 11mm wrench to tighten those, and this side here should be done, and then all what's left to do is install the other side, and then we can proceed to do the bleeding. Okay, my friends, and that right there completes the installation of the rotor, the brake caliper, and the brake line. So that's it for right now. Basically, to do the other side, you just do the same steps, with the exception that in the other side you have your speedo cable coming through the grease cap. But other than that, it's the same procedure, same steps. If this is the first time you're watching my channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, this is Junior with Classic VW Bucks and Sonny the Super Beetle. Junior out.